Hello, once again, Mr. Pete here. This is episode 109B, the answer portion of my What Is It Mystery Tools series. And before I start, I want to pose a question. Do you prefer it if I would just give you the answer saying, this is the Mack Bulldog, this is the pliers, and so on, and I could do it all in 30 seconds? Because I know I get carried away with stories and I go too deep into some of the stuff. Some people like it, some do not, but this will be a long one. I'm going to give you a lot of background stuff, and I spend an awful lot of time researching and doing that, but I don't want to waste my time or yours, so let me know if you like this or hate this. Let's get started. Number one, of course, is a Mack Bulldog from the hood. I don't think they use these anymore because they're dangerous. You could get impaled by them. But I noticed on some Mack trucks, this actually, I think, is how you lift the hood or open the hood. But why? The question was, why are some of them silver chrome plated and others gold? I couldn't believe that how many people actually knew the answer. Now, if it's silver, it just means that this Mack truck is not equipped with a Mack transmission, engine, and so on. It might have a Detroit diesel or a Cummins in there. Whereas if you get the gold, and Maxidine or something they call it, you're going to get the genuine Mack engine, Maxidine. You're going to get a Mack transmission, a Mack axle rather than an Eaton ad infinitum. So that's what the silver versus the gold means. And to be honest with you, very seldom have I seen a gold Bulldog. And someone said that the ears on here are kind of modified so that the driver wouldn't hurt his hand on it. And others said some of the drivers just hated to spend the entire day looking at a Bulldog's butt. And as long as I'm beating this subject to death, Bulldogs, just 3 days ago, the welding teacher, Dave Taylor from the high school, who I'm in constant contact with me, came to the house right here, knocked on the door, and gave this cast iron Bulldog to me. I've got a story to tell you about that, and that will be in my this and that video, my next one. Remember that the Bulldog was the school mascot at Streeter High School, where I labored for over 40 years. Item 2, the whole group here, obviously, and most people knew this, they are wooden patterns used to make sand molds to pour metal in to make castings. So there were millions of these out there. I have no idea the specific purpose or the company. Some of these are marked, where was it, P&V. I don't know what that means, but someone also noted that in the older patterns, they always had the metal numbers nailed on there. But when you examine some of the old patterns, it's really very interesting because on one of these, if I can find it, I should have looked ahead of time, you're going to see scriber marks from the old pattern makers. Those might have been put on there, 100 years ago. There's a center line. It's interesting to see that some patterns had loose pieces like this, which is dropped out, and that was necessary in order to make the mold, but very easily lost. On this particular one, these extensions on here are core prints. One of those is broken off and missing. Core prints were simply the support for a sand core that would produce hollow casting or a casting with a certain internal shape, typically like engine blocks, the cylinders and all of that were cast right in. So other people were trying to guess the exact purpose of this. Someone said it was a flapper on a exhaust. I doubt that very much, and we'll never know what these are. But they make neat wall art. I don't know if I should throw them out because they were given to me, but they are pretty neat. Foundry patterns, not molds. Patterns and molds are not the same thing. Notice that on this one, some of you guys are very observant. They said, hey, I noticed that the fillet, the leather fillet was missing. Well, there a piece just fell off. and it's just crumbling. This is leather, probably 100 years old, from a steer that if he was still living would be 110 years old. I'm going to talk more about my patterns at the end of this video. That's optional, extra credit. You do not have to watch it. Number 3 came from my buddy. Remember, I just cleaned out his basement, a college roommate. He taught for many years, junior high. That's the label that's on here from the Gilmore Pattern Works, and inside is still the little grinding wheel to resharpen it and some directions. And you know, Lee was the kind of guy that if my brother and I had something, he wanted it too. That's why there was a Bridgeport in his basement, and that's why there was that green South Bend lathe, and there's many videos on that as well. But when you examine this, this is the Wagner safety planer, and somebody said it's dangerous, and I did have work get kicked out on me using this. This one's really got a lot of sap on it, and it's kind of dull. They're held in the drill press, and you can surface small pieces of wood. It's not meant for a 6-foot piece, relatively small pieces, and it was very handy in the pattern shop. So again, at the end of this video, I'm going to talk more about my patterns, because my brother and I used the same thing here. This was probably bought in about 1975, when we were, or sooner than that, when we were making our Foundry patterns. I'm going to talk a little bit more about there. But so I got 2 of these now. 1, 2. Also, they made a version of this that I think it was threaded, and it would fit on a radial arm saw. You had to tip the motor, you know, at a 90 degree. It was crazy, totally crazy. Now there is a company, somebody mentioned it in the comments, thank you for your comments, that is still making these under license, or they bought the patent or something else. But actually these are really neat. They don't give a great surface finish, but you know, they can, if you want a piece of a small piece of wood 15/16 of an inch thick, you know, this is how you get it, because you more than likely you don't have a surface planer. So here's the original brochure, the Wagner safety planer for radial arm saws or drill presses. So the top one there is threaded, the bottom one is the one, it was $22 and almost 50 years ago. It's impossible to grab or kick back. False! They're fairly safe. And you know, there's directions here, and shows you several of the different things that it's capable of doing. It is a new, unique, and versatile rotary wood planer. And you can buy spare parts, or you could. And the grinding wheel I showed you already, and there's more information. I'm not going to share it because I think I've pretty much beaten that to death. On the back of the Wagner safety planer is the patent number. So I went to the effort of printing out the patent. I looked it up on Google Patents, and there it is, 1957. Check that out. I'll have a still picture of this at the end if you want to examine it, or go directly to Google Patents. You will love it. Okay, this pair of pliers, or nippers, whatever you might call them, belong to IBM. I don't believe they made them. I think that this might be a Starrett, which I'll talk about in a second. And believe it or not, in the comments, if you read through them, there is a comment by a former IBM typewriter business machine repairman, and see, there's special jaws here, and he said these were used to align or straighten, you know, the little arms on a typewriter. Well, IBM started making these Selectric with the ball, you know, it looks like a golf ball with all the little letters on it, by the, in the early 60s, so, but there's probably, well, no one uses a typewriter anymore, but anyway, that's what this was all about. Remember, I had purchased at a garage sale about a dozen different IBM repair tools. I think this is the last one, but the other ones were in earlier videos. But if you look in any of the older Starrett catalogs, there it is. So I believe that it was a modified Starrett. I'm not positive. This was available with carbide or regular steel jaws. These were quite expensive. As you can see, the jaws are replaceable, and I thought there were little serrated teeth in there to adjust them. Maybe I'm thinking about something else, but anyway, IBM. This will go to the restore tomorrow. And what is number 5? It's a set of Starrett indicator tips. See the name Starrett on there? And there's a number on there. If I can read it, I'll get back to that. But this is a nice way of storing all the different tips. There may be some of you out there that are not even aware that these tips can easily be removed, and they fit any brand, I believe. It's a universal thread. I forgot what it's called, but this tip can be used 98% of the time. As I said, most of you probably didn't even know that they made other tips. But this is a good way of organizing them so they did not get lost, and examining them to see, oh, which one do I need? Pretty nifty. And look this up on Amazon or other places. It's approximately $200 for this. Now you can buy knockoff ones, I think, for $20. But the beauty of this little ring holder, and it looks like a piece of jewelry, doesn't it? You could put that through your nose. Let me show you something else. And if you don't have this, for best results, use a tin sucrets box. But you see, it's kind of a hodgepodge and hard to find what you need, and you're going to drop them and never find them again. And you know, some prefer the cherry flavored, or others the regular sucrets. Now they probably come in a plastic bag, you know, so disgusting. You got your sore throat. But look at the nice selection I have of these. But you know, it's kind of messy, isn't it, compared to this? So get yourself one of these. Put it on your Christmas list. And of course, I got a kick out of one guy's comment, and he said that's since he didn't know what it was, he said, well, whatever it is, it's better than a necktie or Brute aftershave lotion. Let me show you this in the Starrett catalog real quickly. Here it is in the Starrett catalog, and the number is 25R. Even with my magnifiers on, I couldn't read it. By the way, I just ordered another brand new one because one of these that I had upstairs doesn't have the adjustment screws, so it kept slipping down. You know, I tell you way too much. No wonder my videos take so long. But in addition to all of these tips, Starrett and probably other companies offer all kinds of other shapes and sizes, because if you're in a metrology lab doing certain kinds of inspections, no telling how you have to move around with your indicator to take a reading. Genuine Starrett. If you liked the video, don't forget to chip me with a thumbs up. Now that's basically the end of the video. Way too long for you, but I'm still not done. We're going to have a little extra credit where I talk about Peterson products and some of the patterns and other stuff that I've probably covered many times, although some of you maybe didn't see those videos. Stay with me if you can, if you got the nerve. There might be some of you out there that are unaware that I have 7 machine shop video courses that have been very popular over the years. If interested in any of those, shoot me an email. Please. Before I go on, I'd like to mention something about a previous video where I talked about safety guardrails and how they collapse and help prevent deaths and serious injuries. And I presented a question: does anybody know the song by Porter Wagner called The Carroll County Accident? I can't believe how many people knew that. Just really most people, at least half of the people. So it must have been a lot more popular song than what I remember. But there were lots of other love songs about tragedies and deaths and accidents and so on. So there were many more popular songs than what I have right here. Look through the comments of that video and you'll be surprised how many other songs besides this. But going over this real quickly, Number 1, I Want My Baby Back. 2, Terror on the Highway. Crash on the Highway by the Louvin brothers. And that's kind of ironic because Ira Louvin, the older of the boys, was killed in a highway accident. Where Can My Baby Be? Dead Man's Curve, Last Kiss, Stranded in the Jungle, Leader of the Pack, and many more. But look at numbers 9 and 10. These are 2 of the creepiest death songs that I have ever heard in my life. Check them out on YouTube, especially number 9, The Shoes and Dress That Alice Wore by Tom T. Hall. It's really something. Kind of a tearjerker as well. And then finally, number 10, Mary Jane's Last Dance by Tom Petty. That is just bordering on necrophilia, I think is the word, where he actually goes to the morgue and pulls a corpse out and dresses it up and dances with it. It's really, really creepy. All right, enough on that. Is anyone still with me? Leave a comment if you are. I have talked endlessly about Peterson products over the years, a business that my brother and I had where we sold Foundry patterns to schools, and we had 9 or 10 different projects over the years. This is our very first brochure, and it goes back to when I still lived in Peru, and I moved here to this house in 1973, so this predates 1973, and I had stamped it, I guess, down with the new date. But anyway, these are the 9 original projects that we made, and we were selling plaster patterns that were affordable for a school budget. And the patterns that we sold were made out of plaster. They were temporary working patterns so that the teacher could make durable metal patterns. But prior to making those patterns in rubber molds, my brother and I made the wooden patterns. I don't have a whole lot of pictures of that. Remember, I unceremoniously burned all of those because I was burned out after doing that for 35 years. But stick with me here while I show you some samples of that and some old pictures. I will cover my face because I'm ashamed at what a dork I was and am. Probably our 2 most popular projects were the large and small drill press vices made out of aluminum. This is about a 4-inch jaw, and I don't have any of the patterns for that, but someone sent me, you may recall, this is what we actually sold to the schools, made out of plaster in rubber molds. And again, they would take these, the kids would destroy these instantly because they're fragile. As you can see, they're chipped in several spots. So I would tell the teachers you need to immediately make aluminum patterns, although these are castings here. But so we went from wooden ones that we made to plaster to aluminum, and here's another smaller one that I made, and I know I've talked about this before, but there's just an awful lot of work to making of patterns, and that's why we use that Wagner safety planer. So here is a picture of me, and I don't know if you can tell, but there is one of the patterns, and it's mounted on a match plate that's made out of wood. There's another one, that's the arbor press, and some core boxes, and all kinds of different projects. So we did an awful lot of pattern making back when we were in our respective primes. And there I am sitting 4 feet from where I am right now, holding a plaster pattern, a finished project, and down here are the molds in which we made the plaster pattern. And right there, actually, I forgot about that. That is the original wooden pattern right there. You can even see the leather fillet there in the corner. Here I am with the C-clamp in my hand. That was the single most popular one. But there's the bandsaw, arbor press, band sander, vices ad infinitum. Well, I did it again. I made a 3-minute video into a 15-minute video. Anybody still there? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to chip me, and I'll see you next time.